Los Angeles Chargers are up next, everybody. Cap space for the Chargers, 78 million in effective cap space. Whoo, boy. Draft picks, six in total, 22, 55, 86, 123, 203, and 214. Current roster. For the amount of cap space we have, our roster is in pretty good shape. We will be re-signing Khalil Mack, Deshaun Hand, and Tony Jefferson on defense. We'll have talks with Odafe Owe, but he could get expensive. On offense, Keenan Allen is a free agent, and we'll monitor what he wants to do, but we'd love to have him back. Obviously, the biggest need is on the offensive line. Not only talent, but all five actual backups, who ended up mostly being starters this year, plus Zion Johnson, are all free agents. Not to mention center Bradley Bozeman retired just a couple days ago. We're going to let Johnson walk. Now, I've seen Chargers beat writers really want Johnson back. And you know I like Johnson pre-draft. And if they're telling me things are we're trending in the right direction at the end of the year, that's great. But things were so bad on that offensive line, and Johnson has taken a really long time to develop. I'm probably going to let him walk and try to get a fresh start somewhere else. Maybe like Kevin Dotson it, right? The way he just kind of left the Steelers, even though it was okay in Pittsburgh, and then he blossomed so elsewhere. Um, but versatile backups like Trey Pipkins and Jamari Sawyer, we'll try to bring them back for cheap if they don't get, big ticket contracts somewhere else. Um, so I'm bringing back Khalil Mack, Deshaun Hand, Tony Jefferson for that defense. I'm going to try and bring back Owe if he's not too expensive. The offensive line, I'm letting Zion Johnson walk, but Pipkins and Sawyer I'll try to bring back for cheap as versatile backups. In free agency, I'm pulling from the Chiefs and Bears playbook of completely overhauling my interior offensive line via one offseason. And I'm throwing big money at Tyler Linderbaum first. Though I expect him to go to New York with John Harbaugh or stay in Baltimore, where reportedly Eric DaCosta just straight up said, like, we offered him a market setting contract. So, like, maybe that's just going to do it, right? But better believe I'm also going to throw that same amount of money at him and say, hey, I'm still a Harbaugh. Come out here in California with Justin Herbert and let's go get it. If I don't get Linderbaum, here's where I get to do it, Ben. I'm signing Cade Mays out of Carolina. Uh, Cade Mays was a guy that late day three draft pick for Carolina, versatile offensive lineman, played tackle in college, played center, like five position flexibility. Ended up starting like half the season at center, I think last year and maybe this year. Um, Good player, Mauler, Harbaugh would love him. Huge. I would love to put him at center in Los Angeles if I can't get Linderbaum. Next, I'm looking at guards. Both Cleveland guards, Teller and Petonio, are on my list. Probably don't want to risk bringing them both with injury history and age, but if I can get one, awesome. But if I end up with both, could do worse. We'll check them out for health before we make any big offers. So obviously, some other old guys, Kevin Zeitler, Greg Van Roten, those are also on our list. Here's my other guy, Ben, Brady Christensen. Those are our backup options after that. I just want big, tough, mean guards in LA right now to push people around. I'm interested in keeping Mekhi Becton around, even if he ends up being a backup, even at his price. He's got a pretty good contract right now, but if he just ends up being a swing tackle depth piece, that's fine. But if I need to cut him later on in the offseason to make the money work, I will. If Slater and Alt are healthy, and my line is Slater, Joel Bitonio, Linderbaum or Mays, Christensen or Teller, and Alt from left to right, and Pipkins, Sawyer, Becton, and I don't know, insert some run of mill backup center here. I'm actually pretty happy with that group going into 2026. Offensive line can get expensive in free agency, but I should still have money to spend. I could make big defensive swings like an outside corner or a linebacker, or overpay for a third edge rusher. Could just be a Owe. I could make another big swing at wide receiver if we end up letting Keenan Allen walk. But my priority is going to be on the offensive line, get that done quickly, and then just kind of see what's left after that. In the draft, depending on what happens in free agency, we're in good shape to take best player available. At 22, if I can get Vega Ione from Penn State, I will, no matter what happens in free agency. If I could sign all those guards, and if Vega's there at 22, I'm taking him. But assuming he's gone, I'm targeting a corner at 2022. So Jamal McCoy, Avion Terrell, or Colton Hood at 55. If Keenan Allen is back and I don't make a play in free agency at wide receiver, I'm looking at receiver at 55. And if we go younger via free agency, I'll opt for a defensive player. So probably front seven if I were to do that. And at 86, I'll start looking at safeties and whatever position I don't take at 55. So wide receiver is going to happen at some point. Defensive front seven is going to happen at some point. Safety is going to happen at some point. But I'm probably looking at corner at 22 for the Chargers. How do you feel about this plan for LA?
Yeah, the part I like best, it's the most fun here, is when you're talking about Linderbaum, who may not leave, right?
Mm-hmm.
He may never hit free agency. I wouldn't be surprised. But if he were to, and y'all could get him, the Chargers, I mean, and then pairing Linderbaum with Iwane, the Penn State guard from from the draft, that would be a lot of fun. You can certainly imagine those two guys forming the middle of an offensive line for Harbaugh and company. That would just be perfect synergy. And then, pairing them with the uber talented Slater and Alt, both coming back, historically coming back from injuries and trying to battle back. But man, you talk about a mean offensive line and a talented one. That would be just amazing. I mean, that would be fantastic. So I love the idea of that. But you're right. Even if Linderbaum doesn't become available, which again, I don't know that he will be. Everybody's got to do their due diligence and be ready for it, but I don't know that he will be. Mays or Christensen, either one. I know those aren't popular names. Matter of fact, if you haven't watched the Carolina Panthers play, you may not have even known who these guys were. And that's fine. They're blended offensive linemen, but go check out their tape. They're good, solid players, man. And they would certainly, I think, excel under Harbaugh as well. So yeah, working on that offensive line. It is a bit frustrating for me because the Chargers have done so much work on offensive line even before Harbaugh
Yeah.
got here. And so when this year kind of progressed through, and I'm like, dang it, do they really need offensive line? And you start looking at it, and you're like, well, yeah, they do a little bit. So, I'm not suggesting that they should jettison all those offensive linemen, but certainly you would love to, infiltrate some more talent and toughness there. And I think that's going to happen at some point this year.
And even for the people that I was listening to that remarked on Johnson's improvement through the year, it was in the run game. It's like, that's great, but I need Justin Herbert to be Justin Herbert all the time, right? And if we're still like Johnson's biggest thing, and it has been since he's been in the league, is reading stunts and games from defensive linemen and keeping his head on a swivel and not getting beat with his eyes. And if Herbert's just taking like sacks up the middle every time, even if Johnson's getting better as a run blocker, like that's not going to help me. That's why I'm looking at those veterans. That's why I'm looking at these guys that are a little bigger, a little more stout. Think about when the Bills went out and let Mitch Morse go, and this was like maybe a year after they let Roger Saffold go. Morse is a smaller player. Saffold is more of a run blocker. And they got Osiris Torrance, 6'4", 330, who just like doesn't move. They got who not Connor Williams. Who's the center that they got from Dallas, whoever that is.
McGovern.
Um was that?
Is it McGovern? Is that who
Yes,
we're
Connor
thinking of?
McGovern. Thank you. Thinking of the other Connor from Dallas, and David Edwards from coming from LA. Those guys are 6'4", 6'5", 320 plus, right? Those are just big, tall dudes that just like maybe aren't the most flexible and everything in the run game, but they're just big maulers, great anchors. That's kind of what I want. That's kind of what I'm going for here. If I don't get someone like Linderbaum who doesn't fit that, but he's just so talented, um, then just give me like big guys that are going to hold the pocket for Herbert, and maybe we sacrifice a little bit in the run game. But that's why you end up drafting an Amari and Hampton, right? Okay, you at least give him the holes, let him create the stuff beyond the line of scrimmage, even if your guys aren't going to get out and do a bunch of stuff after that. And also, that's what Alton Slater are for. If those guys can just freaking be healthy because they're awesome. Um, I wanted to ask you because you've done so much work on the receivers. If Keenan Allen retires or they let him walk, or even if they bring him on, but they want to draft somebody at 55, which of these names do you like for the receiver room? Think about they have Lad McConkey as that like smaller route runner type. They have Quentin Johnston as that like kind of Z like speed, tall, deep guy. And then if they have Keenan Allen working the intermediate or not, whatever. But Zachariah Branch out of Georgia, Chris Bell out of Louisville, Elijah Surratt out of Indiana, or Chris Brazel out of Tennessee. Let's say out of those four guys, who would you like for LA at 55?
Honestly, I like all four of them, but it does feel like out of the guys they've got, yeah, a speed element there would help, which would
Hmm.
kind of put you more towards Zachariah Branch, who's small. But, if you've already got the ability to kind of open the field up and create that underneath stuff,
Hmm.
I know McConkey's eating up some of that, but he's not going to, he also works the outside. So, having a speed guy to do the crossing stuff or the jet sweeps, whatever,
Yeah.
Zachariah Branch can certainly fill that route.
Okay. All right. Ben on his channel with Austin and Jane, the Pro Football Enterprises, has a lot of prospect profiles on wide receivers, specifically up on Box Score Network. You'll find their work on defensive players, but you'll find the wide receivers specifically, but offensive players over there on their channel. So make sure you guys are checking that out.